So amongst all of the wild college football action we got this weekend, there's an upset that has college football fans talking. An upset that if you listen to the live streams on this channel, we've talked about as being a real possibility for quite some time now. Because Texas A&M fans had so much excitement at the onset of this year as the possibilities to what their team could be, but now fast forward after week 2 and a loss to Appalachian State, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. There's a lot we've got to talk about, and we need to jump right into it. But before we can, as always, y'all know the drill. I need to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Were you surprised that Texas A&M fell to Appalachian State? And let me know what you're thinking. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed this content, be sure to like and comment down below, as those interactions, though seemingly small, are massive to content creators such as myself. But having said all that, let's jump right into this, and I'm going to start by answering the question I just posed to all of you in the intro. Are you surprised that Texas A&M fell to Appalachian State? And on one hand, yes, because Texas A&M has all the athletes, all the coaching power, all the resources to be able to run through Appalachian State and do it twice on Sunday. On the other hand, I can't say I am, and therein lies the problem. Because this is something we've talked about as being a real distinct possibility on the live show, and it hasn't just been the past few weeks, it's been something we've discussed since the summer. And the reason is because there was a lot that Texas A&M was going to have to try and replace on this team, and a team that, if we go back last year, the defense was phenomenal, but the offense, outside of a few games, left a whole lot to be desired. And in fairness to Texas A&M last year, they at least had the excuse of having their quarterback go down with injury early in the season, and it kind of derailed the whole process. A legitimate thing that happened to them. Fast forward this year, and that offense is still anemic. And if you had someone who had just started watching college football, they would be excused if they thought Jimbo was a defensive guy because of how anemic and uncreative that offense continues to be. And it's not just a one-off of this year or last year. Even when Kellen Mond was there, the offense just never really was inspiring. It never really created that fear in its opponents. You had guys who understood it so well they were able to run it. But even then, when you looked in college football and you saw the offenses Lincoln Riley was running, the offenses Steve Sarkisian was running, Lane Kiffin was running, just to name a few, the offense Texas A&M fielded left a lot to be desired relative to the quality of athletes they were able to bring in. And I think that's what's most telling here, is that Jimbo Fisher had all the advantages on Saturday, and in a lot of games they've played, Jimbo Fisher's Texas A&M Aggies have been the better team, but that has not stopped some level of mediocrity from plaguing Texas A&M. Something that is infuriating to the fan base, especially considering last season they signed Jimbo Fisher to a contract extension and a raise, which to many around college football was perplexing when he didn't even make a college football playoff last season and is amongst the highest paid college football coaches there are for having a 9-4 record. That alone was perplexing to a lot of college football fans, especially when you look at this in relation to what Texas A&M was not fine with Kevin Sumlin doing. Because if we compare Kevin Sumlin's first 50 games at A&M to Jimbo Fisher's first 50 games at A&M, it gets a little bit perplexing. And the reason is Kevin Sumlin was fired for doing the exact same thing, if not more, than what Jimbo Fisher just got a raise for doing. Because if Jimbo would have made it to the college football playoffs, yes, you would have just proved to everybody, we've been able to make it out of the funk, I deserve a raise. That never happened. They never got there. They had 4 losses, and then the coach was given a raise amongst the highest paid coaches in the nation that are making it to the playoffs on a consistent basis, that are competing for national championships at a semi-consistent basis. But now let's really compare Jimbo Fisher's first 50 games with Kevin Sumlin's first 50 games. And in the first 50 games as head coach of Texas A&M, Jimbo Fisher has 35 wins and Kevin Sumlin had 36. Jimbo Fisher had 7 ranked wins. Kevin Sumlin had 9 ranked wins. Jimbo Fisher has 0 ranked road wins. Kevin Sumlin had 5 ranked road wins. And Jimbo Fisher has 1 loss to a group of 5 opponent where Kevin Sumlin didn't have any. Kevin Sumlin was fired after Texas A&M was beaten by SEC opponent LSU. Yes, Jimbo Fisher is a good coach, but the results that are being fielded at Texas A&M do not shout inspiration, and they certainly don't shout, I deserve to be one of the highest paid coaches in the nation. Jimbo Fisher just signed a great recruiting class, and that's going to be something that the Texas A&M fan base deservedly looks forward to, because that was a stellar recruiting class. My question for A&M is, what is the standard of acceptability? Because right now, I don't seem to know what they're looking for, because they've gotten more of the same they had with Kevin Sumlin and are paying a lot more for it, but they don't have the ranked wins they had under Kevin Sumlin. They sure don't have the road ranked wins they had under Kevin Sumlin, but they do have more Group of 5 losses than they had under Kevin Sumlin. This is an incredibly perplexing thing, because Jimbo Fisher was brought into Texas A&M to change the program and to get the offense humming. Since he's gotten in there, look, I got a ton of respect for that Texas A&M defense. They got some dudes, and they absolutely have some incredible playmakers on that offense. Evan Stewart is a phenomenal college football player already as a true freshman. He's going to be a dude. There's a lot of guys on that offense who have the ability, and yet that offense looks anemic week in, week out, and it's not just a one-year-off thing. It's been more of the same as it's gone on, and the offense has never shown signs of improvement. If anything, it's continued to regress over the years, something that makes absolutely no sense if that's your calling card. So no, I'm not saying Texas A&M needs to fire Jimbo Fisher. That's not my contention here at all, and nor am I trying to pile on Texas A&M. If anything, A&M fans, I'm making this video because I feel for you and I side with you, that you deserve better than this. You just gave a head coach a raise expecting better results, and you're absolutely not getting it a few games into this season, because Texas A&M has not looked like a world-beating team thus far, and I'm not saying you need to be a national champion every single year. But if you wanted to get over the hump and you thought you were right there on the precipice, it doesn't make any sense to me why we haven't seen over several years them be able to make that jump. I'm not saying they need to fire Jimbo Fisher, far from it. I think Jimbo Fisher still has some life with this team, and especially with how he's able to recruit. But at the end of the day, my question for Texas A&M is, what is the standard of acceptability? Because this weekend, you paid someone $1.5 million to come to your home and leave with a victory. Something that, if it had happened to Kevin Sumlin, just given the way they fired him after LSU, I don't think he would be the head coach of A&M today. And look, I can't make that claim with 100% certainty. That's why it's just my opinion. But given the fact that he was fired after a SEC loss as compared to a Group of 5 loss, I think the results speak for themselves. Super interested in hearing from all of you about what should happen at Texas A&M, your thoughts about Texas A&M, and once again, Texas A&M fans, I'm not trying to pile on. I have a ton of respect for your program, for what your program could be, and what it should be based off the incredible talent you're able to pull, based off of the coaches you have, based off of the resources you have, and I want teams in college football to reach their potential, because I think that's when college football is at its best, when we have this massive amount of parity. So I genuinely do want the Aggies to figure it out. But right now, it's just not happening, and it's really perplexing to sit from the outside looking in and to see and wonder what's going on. So I can't wait to hear from you. Hop down in the comments, let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.